So do those prices over in MSC have you curious about what their experience is, and maybe you're considering going on them for the first time? If you are loyal to Royal or traditionally with Royal Caribbean, there's a few differences that you really need to know about so that you enjoy your experience and you come on like a pro from the get-go. Hey everybody, it's Brandon, the Weekend Cruiser, where I go on a weekend cruise just about every weekend. And I just got off the MSC Seaside last weekend, and I had the privilege of meeting many of you that were there. I met several people who follow the channel, and they were like, hey, we normally do Royal Caribbean, but for these prices, we have to check out MSC. And I know that there's probably more of you, like I have been, saying, hey, let me look around these days just to see what my options are, where we may not have done that in the past. And so if you're looking at MSC specifically, there's some key differences I wanted to go over so that you have a good experience when you get to an MSC ship. The first one is going to be the Wi-Fi on MSC. One thing on Royal Caribbean that I really like is that when you buy one device, you can use it on multiple devices. You just have to log out of that one and log back into another one, but you can transfer that one device wherever you want to. It's one device at a time, realistically. On MSC, once you sign into your device, you are on that device. You cannot transfer it. So like for me, if I wanted to go from my phone to the laptop, I'm gonna have to buy at least 2 packages. No longer can I use just one and then go over there and log in and kick the other one off. I've got to have 2 distinct packages. It's also going to be a European cruise line, so you're going to find dining times might be a little bit later than you want. Now, when you're booking, there's a Bella experience. This is the cheaper option that I always go with, and you don't get to choose your dining time. Though I'm really not sure at the end of the day how I get my dining time chosen, as it seems to be all over the place these days. But on board MSC, if you have the Bella one, you're not going to get to choose. So you need to know that there is a 5:15, a 7:30, and a 9:45 dinner. That's right, there is a 9:45 p.m. dinner, and of course, because I didn't get the chance to choose, what do you think gets automatically assigned? 9:45. I am asleep at 10:30 most nights. So I went one night, and after I finished my meal, I asked to switch, and luckily they were able to accommodate that. But it's part of the deal. I get a cheaper rate because, you know, they put me in whatever they want to. It's kind of like flying basic economy. You don't get to choose your seat, but you get to save a lot of money. The third thing I'll mention is that the theater doesn't use live orchestras. And I know this is something that a lot of people love on Royal Caribbean. It's the live theater orchestra that we get to see and experience. On MSC, I would say their singers and dancers are still top-notch. They are very good and talented performers, and the routines that they do, I think maybe, are choreographed a little bit more difficult than what I find on Royal Caribbean. But with that being said, you're going to make sure you're not sitting on the front row like a lot of us like to do when we go see a theater show, because the electronic music there is super loud. You're going to want to hear and have a good experience. You're going to want to sit a little bit further back so you can hear all the different sounds. And their stage is much larger, so this way you can take it all in, whereas you can't do that up front. The fourth thing is going to be the elevators. So elevators on board MSC are a point of contention for many people because I saw more lines here than I have seen in a while for elevators. The first thing I'll say is they're all over the ship. Like, make sure you're walking around and paying attention to the maps where you're going to see elevators at. They had one on the MSC Seaside in the very aft section of the ship, and in the Divina, they'd have like one random elevator on the 2 sides of their buffet. So you really just got to pay attention to know where the underutilized elevators are going to be at. If you're using the main bank of elevators, you're probably going to have to wait a while. They've also enhanced or upgraded their elevator system where you press, at least on the newer ships, the Seaside, you press the number of where you want to go. Like you want to go to the 14th deck, and it's going to tell you which elevator is going to pick you up. I hope that this means that the algorithm is making better decisions on where the elevators are going to expedite the process, but I saw a ton of people waiting in line for the elevators. The fifth thing is registering your credit card. So if you don't want to pay cash, you can register your credit card when you get to the cruise line. You cannot do it in advance. There's a few ways that you can do that. The first is you can register it via the MSC For Me app when that function is working. The second way that you're going to do this is go to one of their registration kiosks, the small ones, where you can register your card. This is going to put a $250 hold on your card when you do this, and you can spend up to the $250. They also have another machine that you can make a payment on. So the bigger machine is one where you can actually just go there and pay cash. For those folks that want to pay cash, This works out really, really good because you don't have to wait in the line at guest services. You can also make just a direct credit card payment to settle your account. If you do $250 and yet you only spend $100 on your credit card, you can ask for money back. So you can say, settle my account, and it will give you the change back. One quick note to know on the credit cards, since it is a European cruise line, they're clearing their credit cards through Geneva, which means it's going to have a foreign transaction fee to it. So if you've got a card that waives those, you're in good shape. But if you're not, know that it's going to cost you a little bit more in order to pay your bill when you come off of the MSC Cruises. The sixth thing is going to be the card socket by the door. Now, we've got this on some other cruise ships. Some of the newer Royal Caribbean ships have this. But on MSC, they mean business with their environmental protections, I'll call it here. So the first thing is it only works with your MSC set sail card. It does not work with a credit card or another card. Somehow or another, it knows that it is a ship card. Trust me, I tried. So when you leave the room, you have to take it out. Maybe if there's two of you in a room, this might be a solo disadvantage for me. I didn't have a secondary card that I could leave in the room. But if you take all of your cards with you, it turns off everything in your room. So the air conditioner temperature changes, the lights turn off, and the power outlets turn off. That was super annoying to me. You all know that I love my technology. I've got to be charging things constantly, but I could only do it when I was in the room and had the key card in there. So best chance was overnight, but if your phone went dead and you needed charging, you just wanted to leave it in the room, you couldn't do that because it would not charge. And that stateroom card in the socket is also going to alert your stateroom attendant that you are in the cabin. So if you leave one and you leave one of your cards so that everything can charge or your lights stay on while you're gone, it looks like you're there to the attendant. So if your stateroom needs to be cleaned, you're getting something delivered, they might not do it because they're waiting for you to leave when you're actually not even there. But to them, it looks like it because there's a light in the hallway saying that your card's in the slot and you're in the cabin. The seventh thing they do here is the muster drill. It's just awkward. Like, I was not a huge fan of the way they did it. Luckily, we still don't have to go and stand outside with life jackets on. But the process is this. First of all, you got to go up to your room and wait for them to make an announcement to say, hey, watch a video on your TV. From there, the TV, you're going to go to your phone, you're going to dial a number, and this is going to log the result saying that, yes, I watched the TV. I don't necessarily see the correlation because you can just pick up the phone and dial the number, but they want to make sure that you watched it, and so this is their way of saying, check, they told me that they watched it. From there, they're going to go through and call the individual floors, or like a grouping of floors, to go to their muster station and check in. These announcements were loud in every single room, and just, not a great experience hearing them come through the staterooms for probably a solid 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even longer, getting people to go check in at their muster station. So if you're going, pro tip, make sure as soon as they call your floor, you dart downstairs, get signed in, and then you can come back up the staircases because the staircases are also going to be crowded with people coming back up. The eighth thing that I loved about my MSC Seaside sailing, they've done this a few times. I don't think they do it on every sailing, but I love it when they do it, is an overnight at MSC's Ocean Key. The island here is beautiful. It's non-commercialized. It's a fantastic, relaxing experience. But the best part, because you're there for an overnight and you're there for the next day, there's absolutely no rush. You don't have to wake up early to make sure that you get out there and maximize your time because you're able to be on the island from 8 a.m. to midnight. That's when they ask you to come back. It also allows you to be on the island for my personal favorite time, which is sunset, and see the sunset over the water, which is just absolutely beautiful. So there's no rush. You also can go there on the next day. So we were there from 8 to 3 o'clock on the second day, and there's even less people outside on that third day. So if you can find an itinerary where they're doing an overnight in Ocean Key, try to do it. I love it. This is something that I wish Royal Caribbean would do with Coco Cay. They tried it out a few times. For whatever reason, it didn't stick, but I love having it overnight and getting to experience the island later in the evening.